It has been a long time since humanity has had to face so many disasters all at once. Natural calamities, pandemics, war, and crisis. Strangely enough, all these events seem to have been foretold in the Book of Revelation over 2,000 years ago. Major rivers around the world are turning blood red one after another. Swarms of locusts are appearing in dense numbers. Could this be a sign foretelling the coming Great Tribulation? Perhaps human civilization is nearing its end. The doomsday clock is counting down every second. So what must we do to overcome this catastrophe? Join me in exploring the book Kai Veen to find the answer. Kai Huyen not only foretells the apocalypse or the calamities humanity is facing, but also reveals an escape route for us. If one comprehends Kai Huyen and seizes that mysterious opportunity, then when disaster strikes, each person will find their own path to survival. Revelation. From chapter 8 onward, the book describes the Great Tribulation, or the wrath of the deity poured out upon the entire earth. The 7 archangels will unleash great calamities upon the world. One by one, disasters will rain down upon the forests and mountains, the seas, the skies, the stars, and finally upon mankind. When humanity falls into an age of decline, burdened by immeasurable sin, that is when the great cataclysm shall begin. One by one, the 7 angels sounded their trumpets, heralding various calamities upon the earth, and it seemed as though those prophecies were gradually coming to pass. Description of Kai Huyen 807. When the first angel sounded his trumpet, hail and fire mixed with blood fell upon the earth. A third of the land was scorched, a third of the trees burned to ashes, and all the green grass was destroyed. According to Kai Huyen, a horrific fire will occur, burning up 1/3 of the planet's vegetation. At the beginning of 2020, the wildfires in Australia raged so fiercely they became uncontrollable. Viewed from a satellite, the continent looked like a massive, bleeding wound. The most recent disaster was the wildfire in Hawaii. This is considered the most severe wildfire in the US in the past century. The death toll from the wildfire disaster in Hawaii has risen to 93, making it the deadliest wildfire in the US in the past century. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, estimates that approximately $6 billion is needed to rebuild the tourist city of Lahaina. More than 2,200 structures were completely destroyed and over 850 hectares of land were swept away by the floodwaters. Previously, in 2019, the world also witnessed a series of severe wildfires across the Americas, including the Amazon rainforest fires and major blazes in multiple US states. This makes people can't help but shudder. Could it be that this period is the fulfillment of the prophecy about the first great calamity? Burning affects the grass, insects, birds, and beasts on the earth. Kai Huyen 88 describes how the second celestial master let out a cry as mighty as a great mountain ablaze. His power descended upon the sea, turning 1/3 of the waters into blood. Revelation chapter 16 states that the second angel poured out his bowl into the sea, turning the water into blood like that of the dead. Every living thing in the sea perished. The third angel poured his bowl into the rivers and underground springs, turning them into blood. In recent years, a strange phenomenon has occurred as many rivers around the world have mysteriously turned red. In July 2014, a river in China's Zhejiang province suddenly turned blood red for unknown reasons. Additionally, nearby residents also noticed a faint, strange smell in the air. On March 3, 2016, an Earth observation satellite captured images showing the Nile River near the city of Akkab turning blood red, sparking public outcry and concern. That year, the Dolichar River in Russia suddenly turned blood red, leaving the locals bewildered. Additionally, similar to the cases mentioned earlier, many rivers and seas around the world have also inexplicably turned red without clear explanation. Like the Potomac River in India, the Etobicoke Creek in Canada, the Huatulco and Hondo rivers of Mexico, and the Loma Pilata River in Paraguay. To explain this strange phenomenon, scientists have proposed various causes, including similar cases. The red, blood-like water comes from various sources. It could be blood from slaughterhouses, red paint, seaweed, mine salt, pollutants, industrial wastewater, dye, or oxidized iron. And to this day, there are still places where the cause remains unknown. However, some explanations from the scientists in charge still leave many people unconvinced. According to a Twitter post by an Beiyan newspaper, The river water turning red was caused by someone dumping defective paint materials into the valley. How many crimson maple leaves would it take to dye the whole river red, when the waters keep surging endlessly onward? If someone accidentally spills red paint into the river, the water will quickly wash the paint streak downstream, not turn the entire river blood red from upstream to downstream like that. This is a sign that the prophecies in the book of Revelation are about to be fulfilled. Next, Revelation chapter 9 verse 3 describes that from within the smoke, locusts emerged and spread across the earth, and they were given destructive power like that of scorpions on the land. The COVID-19 outbreak began in Wuhan in December 2019. Notably, around the same time, Africa also suffered a devastating large-scale locust plague. Shortly after, a massive swarm of locusts, numbering in the hundreds of billions, crossed the Red Sea, entered Asia, and headed straight for China. So why do locusts swarm when an outbreak occurs? Stay tuned for the detailed explanation right after this. In 907, those locusts looked like warhorses ready to charge into battle. On their heads was something like a golden crown, and their faces looked exactly like human faces. 908, they had long hair like women and sharp teeth like lions. 909, their chests are armored with iron-hard plates, and the sound of their beating wings echoes like the roar of 100 war chariots charging into battle. The passage evokes the image of those locusts as a formidable army charging into battle, with the intent to ravage and annihilate mankind. Here's an interesting detail. On their heads, they wore something resembling a golden hat. The code, the English name is Kraus, and the Latin name is Corona. Is that grasshopper a metaphor for the virus that relentlessly ravages humanity day by day, hour by hour? To delve deeper, let's analyze a specific chapter that discusses the apocalypse. When the four horsemen of the apocalypse appear on Earth to destroy all living beings, humanity will enter a dark age as most of the population is wiped out by the devastation of war, plague, and famine. The legend says that the world will perish if the 7 sealed stupas are destroyed. The first 4 seals are none other than the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. The 5th tower brings deliverance, soothing the lamentations of humanity before the wrath of God descends. The 6th temple brought with it a series of devastating natural disasters. The 7th seal is the 7 trumpets of the angels that we analyzed in the previous section. They are often called the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. The white horse rider will appear first, carrying a bow, and is often seen as a symbol of plague. Then, the knight on the red horse will appear. This is the symbol of war. The 3rd is the image of a rider on a black horse, symbolizing famine. The 4th horseman rode a pale horse, symbolizing death. The timing of the 4 horsemen's appearance is always the most speculated topic. Hollywood frequently explores this theme and incorporates it into countless cinematic works. Nowadays, few people believe the prophecy of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse is real. It wasn't until 2020 that people suddenly realized the 2 pioneering members of the 4 horsemen might have appeared long ago. From late 2019 to early 2022, in just under 2 short years. The COVID-19 pandemic has erupted worldwide, spreading to 224 countries and territories. To date, the number of infections has surpassed 444 million, while the death toll has risen to over 6 million. At that moment, everyone was stunned to realize, could the legendary knight on the white horse have truly appeared? By the end of 2021, as the global pandemic was gradually brought under control, the global political situation is gradually stabilizing. People also feel more at ease with the appearance of the red horse riding knight. The representative of the war faction has yet to appear. As 2022 unexpectedly arrived, the war between Russia and Ukraine shocked the entire world. This is the conflict that could spark World War III. At this moment, everyone suddenly realized with a start that 2 of the 4 horsemen, symbolizing war and pestilence, had already arrived. So, what is the reason the headless horseman could appear in 2023? And our political situation will never be like that. Odessa is a port city in Ukraine, located on the Black Sea coast. It was once a prosperous and thriving region. Yuka's agricultural products are shipped worldwide. The ships carrying food set sail from this port, passed through the Turkish Strait, and entered the Mediterranean Sea, anchoring at Ikup Bay. Currently, Ikup is one of the biggest bread brands in the world. The cargo ship from Ikup passed through the Suez archipelago, entered the Red Sea, then crossed the Gulf of Aden to begin its long journey across the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. Ukraine possesses fertile black soil, ideal for growing crops like wheat, oats, corn, and producing sunflower oil. And through this maritime route, goods can reach every continent in the world. In 2014, Ukraine lost control of the city of Sevastopol on the Crimean Peninsula. Odessa has become the largest city in Ukraine's largest port, Odessa, and also ranks as the country's Kherson state borders the region with Ukraine's most developed agriculture. The climate in the Black Sea region is warm and humid, with mild temperatures year-round, averaging between 4 and 29 degrees. These things make Ukraine a land admired by the entire world. But by 2022, peace and glory had ceased to exist. The container gantry crane operates tirelessly on the dock, even during idle hours. The flames of war have erupted here. In March 2022, the Russian military seized the Kherson stronghold and then shifted their attack toward Odessa. If Odessa falls, Ukraine's supply route to the Black Sea will be cut off. The supply of food from this fertile region to other countries around the world has also been disrupted. The Black Horsemen, symbol of famine in the Book of Revelation, is about to appear swiftly. From afar came the rapid, thundering sound of horse hooves, approaching at great speed. The knight riding the black horse holds not just a weapon, but one capable of severing Ukraine's grain exports. S other hand held a gleaming knife, aimed at the target, Russia. Because Russia is subject to global sanctions and excluded from the SWIFT system, its international trade cannot maintain stable payments. Besides exporting to China and a few other countries, Russia's food exports to other countries around the world have also been disrupted. From 2017 to 2021, Ukraine and Russia were the world's first and fifth largest wheat producers, respectively. Overall, these two countries account for up to 14% of the world's wheat production. The wheat exports of these two countries also account for nearly 30% of the global market share. S attack, Ukraine. Russia's wheat exports are currently showing signs of slowing down. Not only wheat, but other staple foods such as soybeans, oats, and barley are also competitive commodities of Russia and Ukraine. The sunflower oil we use is primarily imported from these two countries. Here are the natural English translations for both versions. North Africa and the Middle East have a close connection to the Black Sea shipping route. Due to the arid climate, they primarily rely on the yucca rice variety. Due to climate change, North Africa, once a fertile land 2,000 years ago, has now become a dry, drought-stricken region. At that time, Egypt was the breadbasket of the Roman Empire. Currently, we have to rely on imported wheat from Ukraine in Europe to meet the food demand for 85 million people. More than half of the wheat consumed in Lebanon is imported from Ukraine, meaning a 50% dependence on this supply source. Libya accounts for 43%, Tunisia for 32%, and Egypt over 15%. North Africa and the Middle East are regions frequently engulfed in political instability. Rice Bowl. Additionally, several other countries, including China, also rely on imported food supplies from Ukraine. 28% of China's imported wheat comes from Ukraine, while corn accounts for 19.7%. In China, corn is primarily used as livestock feed. The shortage of corn supply will cause meat prices to rise sharply. Indonesia is another large country in Southeast Asia, with a population of over 100 million people. Over 15% of wheat production also depends on Ukraine. The black-clad knight used all the strength in his arms to attack both yucca and na, severely impacting global food security. Is that not the shadow of the Black Knight approaching? Actually, in the book of Revelation in the Bible, St. John witnessed a vision as follows. A black horse, on its back is a person holding a small scale. I heard a sound from the four ancient trees talking to each other. With one coin, one could buy a peck of wheat or 3 pecks of barley. Oil and wine should not be wasted. What does this statement imply? To truly understand, we must go back in time to trace the origins of the book of Revelation in the Bible. Around the 1st century AD, on the island of Pasmon in Greece. Greece in the 1st century AD was a period under Roman Empire rule. Back then, people often measured food using copper measuring tubes. A precision scale is commonly used to weigh high-value items such as gold or silver. The rider on the black horse holds a small scale, yet uses it to weigh food. This means food costs are extremely high. In ancient Greece, wheat was the staple food of the nobility and the middle class. Barley is a staple food for the poor and fodder for livestock. A typical person consumes about a basket of wheat per day for food. The average daily wage is $1. At the prices of that time, 1 silver coin could buy 12 bushels of wheat or 36 bushels of barley. But since the Black Horsemen appeared, 1 silver coin could only buy 1 measure of wheat or 3 measures of barley. It's clear that the price has increased 12-fold compared to before. This means that soaring food prices will lead to famine. That's why they say the Black Horseman symbolizes famine. Just 1 week after Russia and Ukraine went to war, global wheat prices surged dramatically. Although it did not increase by as much as 12 times, this figure has reached a record high in the past 60 years. Wheat prices surged 43% on the Chicago Exchange. The Chicago Board of Trade is the world's largest futures and options exchange. The sound of the Black Rider's horse hooves grew ever clearer, heralding the swift approach of famine. Next, the knight riding a gray horse appeared, striking even greater fear into the hearts of the onlookers. This is the only knight who has a name but carries no weapon. Because the rider themselves is the weapon. The rider and the horse he rode were both pale and gaunt, devoid of any vitality. This rider has the power to destroy all living beings by every natural means, for his name is death. The recent series of disasters and calamities is proof of the arrival of the most dreaded horseman, the rider on the pale horse. However, there is also exaggerated information that causes unnecessary panic among people. Because the war forced the closure of Ukraine and Russia's 2 major wheat ports. But fortunately, these 2 are not the only rice varieties that exist in the world. According to the latest report released by the U.S. Department of Agriculture in March 2022. In 2021, the UKA led in wheat exports, but India also showed significant growth in export volume. Additionally, countries like the United States, Canada, and Australia are also among the world's oldest rice-growing regions. However, there is also the possibility that the U.S. government is releasing this information to reassure global public opinion amid the current complex upheavals. Generally, agriculture is inherently seasonal in nature. Unlike factories, which can take on additional orders at any time by increasing overtime to meet production deadlines. When agricultural production is affected, even if other rice crops try to compensate for the shortfall, the fastest they can do so is by the next harvest season or the following year. Therefore, a certain degree of food price increase is inevitable. The Book of Revelation is a prophetic text written approximately 2,000 years ago. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse do not appear at a specific moment, but rather over an entire period. They come early, they come late, who knows, maybe 10 years, maybe 20, no one can predict. Many ancient prophecies from different cultures mention that if a certain event occurs, humanity may avoid the apocalypse. We hope the war will end soon. May the wooden horse riders halt and return to a peaceful life. Where, then, lies the path to liberation for humanity? There is a saying that heaven and earth are inherently merciful, always leaving a way out in times of peril, offering an escape even to those facing great calamity. Pandemic is fate. What is that way out? It is the enlightenment through revelation that ACE must attain. Lesson 4 and Lesson 11 can offer us valuable insights. They were commanded not to harm the green grass, any tree, or any plant on the earth, but only to strike those who did not have the seal of God on their foreheads. Revelation appears to present 2 opposing groups: those who bear the mark of the beast and those who bear the seal of God. Who are those marked by the divine? It must be emphasized that the book of Revelation is also a prophecy concerning many nations, countries, languages, and their rulers. Therefore, it is not merely about admiring the beauty of God from a Western perspective, nor is it confined to the framework of Christianity. The epidemic does not kill without reason. Though the virus has no eyes, it still knows how to choose its victims. Whoever you are or whatever religion you follow, as long as you have a kind heart and live with goodness, you will surely find happiness and peace. Thank you all for watching the video until the end. See you in the next episodes.